Did you know? Here's a THC tidbit. By the end of the current academic year, 27 different faculty members will have taught 100 different sections of 16 different honors courses. Breadth and depth, breadth and depth. Our second speaker this evening, Amanda Cattley. Our second speaker is an alumna of the Templeton Honors College. Amanda began her program of study in the THC in the fall of 2002. She began her career at Eastern by completing a good deal of science coursework, but along the way, she discovered a love for philosophy and eventually settled on a major in philosophy with minors in legal studies and gender studies. Amanda studied abroad in Oxford, where she completed tutorials on philosophy of law and philosophy and feminism. She apparently enjoyed that experience so much that after graduation, she returned to Oxford, where she earned a master's degree in women's studies. Upon completion of that degree, Amanda spent a year in the Lutheran Volunteer Corps conducting civil legal workshops in prisons throughout the state of Maryland. She is currently enrolled in another master's program, the MA in Clinical Counseling Psychology at LaSalle University here in Philadelphia. Please join me in welcoming Amanda Cattley.
Thank you very much. I couldn't help but feel that there were probably a few alumni more qualified than myself to offer you some evidence of an impressive career in the making thanks to the Templeton Honors College. Although it bears keeping in mind that we are a young institution after all, and some of our oldest alumni are barely 30, so we don't really have anyone yet who can come up and present to you a lifetime of achievement built on the solid foundation of this honors college. We do have some alumni I know doing some very impressive things. Our alumni include medical and law students, PhD candidates, some government officials, and at least one nun, all of whom seem to have been much too busy to be able to make it here tonight, which I think is perfectly understandable. Our alumni also include a few who are dearly departed. And when we can't speak of a lifetime of achievement yet, it seems completely inappropriate that we have to speak of those we've already lost. I'm thinking, of course, of a member of my own cohort and a beloved friend to many of us, Ben Carr, who drowned in the fall of 2007. Ben's thirst for knowledge, his critical mind, and his tenacious search always for the truth made him a terrific journalist, an excellent editor of the Waltonian in his time here, and an exemplary Templeton Honors College student. His death forced many of us to ponder anew Socrates' words that studying philosophy is preparation for death. We lost another one of us, Dominic Rowe, who I didn't know as well, but who died in his sleep a few months ago. His family hosted some honors college events during our time here. For a relatively young honors college, we have experienced too much loss already. But I'm here to talk about how the THC has affected my personal and professional development since leaving Eastern. And to do that, I want to step back and say a few words about what I think we were all about, and I think still are. What was it that we were being taught while we were here? A number of things come to mind. The first is really the appreciation of beauty and of excellence in the arts, in history and culture, and above all, as Dr. Gelza was saying, in great books and in the world of ideas. We were taught to cherish the life of the mind and to pursue knowledge and seek truth. We were taught to debate vigorously without becoming angry, to disagree without being disagreeable. I'm sure none of us can forget the professors who made the Honors College core curriculum come alive. Who can forget Dr. Carey bouncing on the balls of his feet, speaking of the eternal aha that awaits us as the beatific vision, although, of course, for Luther, we know God by hearing his word and not by sight. Or Dr. Mary Van Leeuwen, who, for just our cohort, taught our Honors 101 class. Correlation does not reflect causality. Those are some good words to have drilled into your head. And a favorite for many of us, cosmology, where Dr. Bradstreet taught us that we live in an expanding universe. And indeed, for the Honors College, it seemed that our universe was expanding as we contemplated the greatest mysteries in it. And above all, of course, the mystery of Christ, of God incarnate, which is why I know many of us from the earlier cohorts were delighted to see some of the additions that Dr. Hall had made, including, from what I understand, a greater emphasis on spiritual formation. After graduating from Eastern in 2006, I spent a year in Oxford and came out with a master's in women's studies. I studied philosophy, feminist philosophers and feminist ethics, But for my dissertation there, which means something a little different in Oxford English than in American English, in case any of you were becoming a little too impressed, for my dissertation I chose to study the theory of rape culture, a troubling notion that, in a nutshell, that our society implicitly condones a great deal of violence against women, even while officially condemning it. After Oxford, I spent a year in the volunteer corps working as a paralegal. I conducted family law workshops in prisons throughout the state of Maryland, and to say the least was troubled by much of what I encountered there. Among other things, I encountered a great need for mental health services, and so now I'm studying clinical psychology. To sum up, I think it would be fair to say I've been using my honors college education to keep asking some really hard questions. Like, why is there so much sexual assault and violence against women in our world? Why are so many Americans, and in particular, so many African Americans, incarcerated? And finally, how can we bring healing to troubled minds? How can we find techniques to help the mentally ill? I haven't found a lot of good answers to these questions yet. And if any current students here think that you'll have all the answers after 4 years in the THC, or even 4 years after that, think again. Yeah, you may not even have discerned your life's vocation by that time, but what the THC has given me is the courage and the tools to keep asking those really hard questions and to keep wrestling with some complicated problems, like the problem of evil and the problem of pain, and to work on building a life that is no less than fully and deeply human. And above all, that we do that by imitating Christ. So thank you to the Templetons, Dr. Gilzo, for this wonderful idea. Thank you, professors and administrators, for making it a reality. And thank you to the cohorts and the students for your friendship and for all the memories. Keep doing what you're doing, and may we all be back in another 10 years.